What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we gotta talk about the developer Altambre going in about Killjoy's changes, about whether or not they think she's too powerful, or how they're gonna change her in the future. Plus the reasons for why they changed the economy so much. He really digs deep into a lot of different things, so we're gonna break it all down in this short video. But go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high quality in-depth guides, VOD reviews, tips, and tricks. We got a lot of really in-depth content that you won't find anywhere else, so go check it out right now down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now with episode 3 came big Killjoy nerfs, where now it takes forever for her to replace her turret or her alarm bot potentially, and that can be an extremely big deal. You even had Killjoy mains on Reddit being pretty sad about the changes, like this user here, IFAP to Calamity, saying, look how they massacred my girl. You know what, with the username like that, I'm not surprised you're a Killjoy main. But all joking aside, our boy Altambre, a developer for Valorant, he responded to this talking about the cooldown changes for Killjoy and Killjoy's relative position to Cypher, and he said this quote, "Seeing a lot of discussion regarding the cooldown changes. We'll keep an eye on Killjoy's power, but she's definitely been outperforming Cypher and a lot of other agents in matchmaking by a decent margin, and has a room for a slap on the wrist nerf to help solidify her identity like this. She's currently one of the stronger agents in the game. If she's too weak, we'll look into changes though. Ideally, this should encourage players to move thoughtfully and committal when placing Killjoy's tools, which is what she's all about, while still giving her options if she needs to rotate or retake." Now basically, they just realized that her pick rate was far surpassing Cypher, her direct counterpart, and it was just one of the highest in the game. She was very, very powerful, and they wanted to find a way to make her actions a little bit more punishing if you didn't put forethought into it, so that's why they directly hit the cooldown change, and if it's too much, they plan to buffer, and if it's not enough, they plan to nerf her even more so. Now, that being said, with the current pick rate out so far, it looks like it hasn't actually hurt her all that much, and Cypher hasn't been increased all that much, so I wouldn't be surprised if Killjoy is going to get even more changes down the line. Either she's going to get nerfed even more, or a character like Cypher might get buffs even more. I would probably prefer the latter rather than the former, but what do you think? Would you rather have characters like Cypher get buffed to meet the power level of Killjoy, or would you rather Killjoy just get a little bit more nerfs, maybe even in her turret power level? I want to know your opinion about all that and why. Now, the next thing that Altambre actually talks about when he's responding to different Reddits is talking about economy. He talks about the economy, about how things used to be, and a lot of the complaints about people. They're complaining typically about the economy when it comes to pistol buys, or it comes to the difficulty it is to actually find the appropriate loadout in the game, with a lot of abilities costing so much more. And he actually had a lot of insight to say about this. Let's talk about it right here. I'm going to quote what he has to say. We're going to talk about it afterwards. He said this, quote, "We share similar concerns with the changes of this nature. For what it's worth, we don't want to move the needle so far that the economy feels extremely punishing or that utility is rare for sure. But in the previous economy, we felt that players weren't making interesting decisions. Utility was so cheap and numerous that players could often buy full utility loadouts without much planning or forethought. Ideally, these changes should increase the relevance of some of our close to premium weapons like the Bulldog and Guardian, while encouraging players to be more thoughtful about which abilities they're purchasing and when. We want every part of a player's buy to be deliberate and meaningful, rather than defaulting to heavy plus Phantom / Vandal plus full utility most of the rounds of the game without putting much thought into it. We'll continue to keep an eye on this tuning going forward though. We recognize that our utility is part of what makes Valorant special." Ultimately, what he's talking about is the line that can be created when you make abilities too expensive, right? Like, imagine if you took every single ability right now and like quadrupled the price. Now people would just be really less likely to have abilities, and there'd just be a lot more abilities in every single round, because people would prioritize the guns first and the abilities latter only if they could afford them. And that might lead to a lot of different situations where maybe half the abilities are used, or even a quarter of the utility is used, and that's really not what they want. They want gunplay to be a star role, yes, but they do want their abilities to also be an integral part of the game. But they did feel like before, utility was just too cheap that everyone was just maxing out buying utility. There was no decision in the economy. It was just like, you got that weapon, you got your armor, you got all your abilities, and you're good to go. It was never like, oh, I have to pick and choose. Maybe I want this ability, or maybe I want a little bit of a worse gun. That's why he brought up the Bulldog or Guardian, or maybe I want some light armor. There's a lot of different options now, and that's kind of why they did a lot of the changes to the economy, and they're trying to balance the game in that way, make a lot of the abilities more expensive while making the guns a little bit cheaper and more powerful. So I really do like the changes overall, but I want to know what you think about them. Do you agree with what Altambre says here, or do you heavily disagree with the economy ability nerf that happened? I really want to know your opinion about all that and why down below. But go to the GameLeap website and the links down below for in-depth guides, VOD reviews, tips, and tricks. We got a lot on the GameLeap website you got to go check out right now. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Love your faces. See y'all next time.